And let's bring it to Genesis 1, where our story starts. Not where God's story starts, but where ours does. And I just want to show you that my favorite place to study the Bible is in BibleHub.com. It has a varied amount of options, tons of options, right? So we're reading this in ESV right now. I can pop this over to King James Version if I like. And I'll show you a couple more tools as we go along. So the importance of Genesis is, right off the bat, it proves that most preachers aren't preaching, most churches aren't giving a full message. Right off the bat, it's something amazing and divine and something delivered to us from heaven, and unfortunately the church has watered a lot of it down, but that's why God rewards us individually for our studies. Right? So what am I talking about, the things that the church is leaving out? Well, right off the bat here, okay, let's look. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. All right, so right off the bat, we're starting with God creating the heaven and the earth. This isn't where God was created. This is where God, outside of space and time, right, and matter, being outside of it, created the heavens and the earth. Right? So he's outside of it. So God created the heaven and the earth, and here we are, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. Well, that's confusing, because I didn't think that God created something that would be without form and void, and darkness would be upon it. That doesn't sound right. It sounds like Greek myths, and you'd be right. That's the polytheistic view. That is the S-U-N God view, the opposite religion of ours. Right? They're sun worshippers and such. They think everything came out of chaos. It did not. God created it and it became chaos. So let's study more to see why that is. So I'm going to right click, open a new tab, right? Or I'll go up here, I'll right click and do Hebrew. Right? So open me a tab, Hebrew. What does that mean? It's going to show me the Hebrew words. So once again, God created the heavens and the earth. But the earth was without form and void. Doesn't make sense. But they mistranslated it, right? Word was for Hayatah. In Strong's Concordance, number 1961 of the Hebrew words, right? It says to be, become, come to pass, exist, happen. Was is not in there. It's very rarely used, right? So it means, and it's a verb, right? A perfect verb, which means it's in fulfillment of its action. It's been done, and the earth became formless and void, and darkness was upon it, on the face of it, right? And why was that? Well, we'll get into that. Where was that from? That was from a rebellion, right? Because in Genesis 3, where we're headed, right? Genesis 3, this guy, the serpent comes down, right? And tricks Adam and Eve. So this entity's already in rebellion by the time God just created them. This entity's in rebellion. This entity is a entity way higher than us, right? He's like a little g God to us in the ways he can move about. So he rebelled. The earth was judged in his last rebellion and became void, right? And dark. But thanks be to God that God is greater, right? And he has a story for us, right? His story is not destruction, right? His story is a story of love. So here, right off the bat, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters, praise God. And that's good. He's always hovering over us. He's with us, before us, and behind us, right? He is the light. And there was light, right? Jesus Christ is the Word. The Word made flesh. The Word made substance. God said, let there be light. And there was light, right? Jesus is the Word of God. Jesus is God. It's a beautiful thing when you start getting deep into it. Let's get into it even more. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. And so I want to draw your attention up to here in the KJV. Sometimes it'll give you these little verse hints, right? And I just want to show you that to show you how much it relates to this. The very beginning of our story in Genesis relates to our beginning of fleshly knowledge, of the Word made flesh, right? So the very beginning of our gospel matches with the beginning of our Old Testament, or Genesis, right? Genesis means a beginning. So here we are in John. It relates the beginning of the gospel to the beginning of the Old Testament in a way that is divine, in a way that shows the power of God, in a way that shows the power and character of Jesus Christ, who he is to us. Some important things to note and focus on about him. And let's get into it. Here we are, the beginning. Love it. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word was God. The Bible's saying this is God, right? The same was in the beginning with God. That Word, right, that we just talked about, that Word that said, let there be light. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made, right? Who's him? The Word. That Word that also happens to be God. And all things were made through God and through that Word, right? In him was life, and the life was the light of men, right? And the light shined in the darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not, right? And some like to say, and the darkness did not overcome it. I like that saying too. So deeper than that, here's the beauty. And the Word was made flesh and dwelt amongst us, and we beheld his glory. The glory is of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. And John the Baptist bear witness of him in his time, right? So back to our focus on that. Here's this Word. God's speaking the Word, right? And it says that Word is God. And then it also said that Word was made flesh. And we know who was made flesh, and that's Jesus Christ. So that's saying Jesus Christ is God, right? It's also saying that Jesus Christ is the manifestation of the Word. So God prophesied it, and he carried it out himself in the flesh in a way that we don't fully, completely comprehend. But to the best of my ability, that's the way I see it and the way it studies out. Right? That same one was in the beginning with God. What else was in the beginning with God but God? Okay? And things like that are what you need to focus on. Questioning things is what you need to focus on. Being open. Don't let any human or church steer your path of study, as long as you don't let that study lead you into doing evil, which means hurting people, declining to do God's will. When he tells you to be good to someone and you turn it down, that's a small form of evil, ranging all the way. So if you change your lifestyle, you'll do that more, and then all the way into doing actual evil. So we need to turn back and focus back on God, and praise God that he was with us in the beginning. All right, and then we're going to turn right into another section of Genesis 1 that just gives the church and pastors and preachers fits, because they'd rather have to explain science to you than explain what the Bible says to you. All right, and the Bible explains it in a way that I think is the true definition of the shape of our earth, what is actual cosmology. I believe the earth is in the center. I believe there is a firmament. I believe that firmament is divine powered because it has all the constellations. It keeps times using planets, sacred geometry. This is where astrology comes from, because it's so beautifully advanced and divine that it does show futures. You're just not supposed to depend on it. You're supposed to depend on God, right? And that's the firmament, which is showing God's handiwork, the stars, showing God's handiwork, the planets, the sun, the moon, right? And so people are going to get all up in a fit about this, but it said God said there's a firmament. You either believe it or not, study it out or not, right? Is there a firmament? I think there is. Why can't we go to South? It's not the South America, but the further down, Antarctica. Because there's things down there not supposed to see yet that we're not allowed to see. And God made that firmament and divided the waters below from the waters above. Right? So these are like the creative waters that we're in. Right? And then the deep, the abyss is even below us. Water on water on water. Right? And God called that firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. So I'd say, there's the atmosphere is a heaven. Like the aether might be one. The aether might be getting up into the firmament, the thicker layers. But yeah, I believe in the firmament, and I don't believe that we're flying through space at 66,600 miles an hour, tilted from the sun at 23.4 degrees. When you subtract that from 90, the co-angle, that's 66.6 degrees tilt from the sun at 66,600 miles an hour. I don't believe in that nonsense. I believe that God says, the earth is firm and on foundations, and it has a firmament with the stars inside of it, right, to divide the light from the darkness. So, despite how awesome that information is, it's very divisive within the church, which it shouldn't be. All of us as students of Jesus Christ should be focused first and foremost on the truth, and the truth spoken in love. There is no rule for taking in the truth, though. You find the truth and you cling to it. Our God is truth. Our God is love. And he says if you don't cling to his knowledge, he won't give you anymore. And if you hold on that attitude to the last day, you'll be part of the great delusion that's brought upon mankind. And so we've talked about 2 out of the 3 main things in Genesis 1 that I want to hit on that are divisive. But let us continue just to read it and get down to that third part that I wanted to stop on. Verse 9. And God said, let the waters under the heavens be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waves called he seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself, upon the earth. And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in his self after its kind. And God saw that it too was good. And the evening and the morning, the third day. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser night to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. And I will touch upon that part again where those lights are in the firmament of the heaven. They are used to divide the day from the night. These are the purposes of the sun, the moon, and the stars. The division of time. Signs of things to come. Signs of the beginning of a time. Signs for the ends of times. And for seasons. So we know for planting, for harvests. These are also for signs and seasons. It's also for God's holy days, to let you know when those dates actually are. And we've kind of lost that, unfortunately. Alright, and 2 great lights, the sun and the moon, inside of the firmament, to rule the day and the night. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. And God created great whales, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly, after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let fowl multiply in the earth. And the evening and the morning were the 5th day. And God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle, creeping thing, and beast after his kind, and it was so. And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and the cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let him have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. And God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and multiply, replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and the fowl in the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat, and to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green tree for herb, green tree and herb for meat. And it was so. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. So now we read straight through that. I'd like to go back to the very interesting parts here. Okay. And God said, let us make man in our image. Okay? In our image. What's he saying there? Let's hit the Hebrew. And said God Elohim. What does Elohim mean? God. Elohim. Elohim. It is the plural, right? So let us make man in our image. I don't know the exact answer for that. I'm going with it's the Trinity. I also know that the sons of God were there, the angels, the stars, the spirits that rule those planets and such. They were there. I don't know exactly which. I'm pretty sure he means him as God, but he could have given creative agency to his angels, which is pretty awesome because we can look forward to that one day for ourselves. Okay. And let them have dominion. So, God has made us in his image and gave us dominion. Alright, so we're made in the image of God. Alright. God created man in his own image. You see here, everything else is after its own kind, but God made man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. So God made it simple. God made the divisions in the earliest parts of time, and this is the genesis of our history, the beginning of our stories. Our story with him, his story, stands for his story, the story of God. And I'm glad and happy to be able to lead this Bible study and continue on through Genesis in this subsection playlist. And in others, I will delve into apologetic type topics, which is more of my favorite, and the Nephilim question, which is more of my area of expertise. I'll soon be doing Christian apologetics into books like the Dionysiaca, Greek mythology, all types of mythology, to put that origin story together. So my focus has always been in the origin stories. And here we are in the origin. God made everything good. Let's see what we'll do with it. Thank you for listening. This has been Genesis 1.